Hey there. Let's talk about something I think we've all felt. That feeling when you're praying, really pouring your heart out, and it just feels like you're talking to an empty room. So what do you do when it seems like your prayers just aren't being answered? Well, today we're going to dig into that by looking at some pretty surprising guidance from a saint who lived way back in the 13th century.
I mean, really? Have you ever been there? You've prayed for something with everything you've got, and then? Nothing. Just silence. It can be so frustrating, right? Even isolating. But here's the thing. What if I told you that this is not a modern problem? Not at all. In fact, a mystic from the 1200s was asking the very same thing.
So what we're looking at here is a passage from the writings of Saint Gertrude the Great. She was a German nun, a mystic, and she had these really deep, profound spiritual conversations. And in one of them, she just comes right out and asks about this exact problem. It just goes to show you, even saints had moments where they wondered, hey, are my prayers just disappearing into the void? And there it is, right there in her own words. It's so direct, so honest, You can feel the vulnerability in that question. And you get the sense she's not just asking for herself, she's asking for every single one of us who's ever felt that way. Now, the answer she gets is fascinating because it gives us two really powerful ways to shift our thinking. Let's dive into the first one.
All right, so the first answer she gets isn't some complex theological argument. It's actually a story, a beautiful little analogy that completely reframes the whole issue. It's a simple story about a queen and her servant.
So the setup is super simple. You've got a queen who needs some thread. She tells her servant, hey, I think it's over there. And the servant, wanting to do a good job, rushes right over to the exact spot she was told.
But the thread isn't there. The servant searches everywhere, but she comes up empty. Now think about it from her point of view. She's failed, right? Her effort, which is kind of like her prayer, seems totally wasted. It had no effect. She's just left wondering, what did I do wrong?
And this is where the whole story flips. The queen comes back and says that while the servant was looking in that one spot, she actually found the thread somewhere else entirely, a much better, more useful place. So you see, the request wasn't ignored at all. It was answered, just in a way the servant never could have guessed, because the queen, well, she could see the bigger picture. She had a wiser plan all along.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's this idea of inscrutable wisdom. It's saying that just like that servant, our point of view is, well, it's limited. We might not get the answer we think we want, right when we want it. But this story suggests that our prayers are being answered, just in a way that's actually more useful for us in the long run. We just can't see the whole plan from where we're standing. But, that opens up a whole other can of worms, doesn't it?
That first idea is pretty powerful. But Gertrude's dialogue doesn't stop there. It goes even deeper. She brings up another problem that I think is just as relatable. Sometimes, it's not that we think our prayers are being ignored, it's that we feel like we're not worthy of being heard at all. So the text describes this one time when Gertrude was feeling really down. She felt totally unprepared and unworthy for Holy Communion. She felt like she had absolutely nothing of value to bring to the table. You know that feeling. It's that classic, I'm not good enough voice we all have sometimes. And what's so fascinating here is the contrast. On one side, you have Gertrude's very human perspective. She's just stuck, focusing on everything she thinks is wrong with her. But then, look at the response she gets. It completely flips the script. It's basically saying, why are you so obsessed with your own limitations when you could just rely on my limitless power and mercy? The whole idea is that the worthiness we're so worried about not having, well, it can be provided for us. Okay, so this brings us to the second huge revelation in this text. And it's a really surprising, kind of selfless solution to that whole problem of feeling unworthy. So instead of just sitting there feeling bad about herself, Gertrude does something amazing. She decides to offer up her communion for other people, people she'd already promised to pray for. And the response she gets is immediate. They will receive the fruit of this sacrament. Think about that. Her prayer, which started from a place of feeling like she had nothing, becomes this incredibly powerful gift for others. It completely flips the idea of prayer on its head. It's not about getting something for yourself anymore. It's about an act of selfless giving. So, what's the bottom line here? What's the practical take-home advice from this dialogue that's hundreds of years old? Well, it turns out it's actually super simple. Gertrude then asks a million-dollar question. Okay, so what's actually required? What do these other people I'm praying for need to do to receive this gift, this grace? And the answer she gets is just beautifully simple. See, it's not about jumping through hoops or doing some big, elaborate ritual to prove you're worthy. Nope, the preparation is all internal. It's just two things. First, you just have to have a sincere intention, a pure heart, and a perfect will. And second, you just need a simple acknowledgement that you need help, even something as small as the least sigh. That's it. It's all about turning towards grace, not trying to earn it.
And the result? It's described with this absolutely stunning image. Those two simple acts, intention and acknowledgement, allow the people she's praying for to be clothed with ornaments. It's beautiful, isn't it? The very grace and worthiness that Gertrude felt she was missing, well, she ended up getting it for them through her selfless prayer.
And that really leaves us with something big to think about, doesn't it? This text, from way back in the 13th century, is suggesting a pretty radical shift in how we see things. It's saying that maybe, just maybe, when we feel like our prayers are going nowhere, or when we feel unworthy, maybe the answer isn't to pray harder for ourselves, but to start giving more freely to others. So, what if the real point of prayer isn't just about receiving, but about becoming a channel for giving, a way for grace to flow through us to other people? It's a really powerful idea to sit with. Thanks so much for digging into it with me today.